Well, unsurprisingly, April was not my best reading month of this year. In April, I did a lot of traveling. I got to meet some of my booktube besties, and it was a great month, but it was not a great reading month for me. I did not a whole lot of reading. I did read 11 books this month, so I definitely read more than I thought that I was going to, and it was pretty close to January's reading actually, so it wasn't terrible, but it definitely was not my best reading month. So quickly, let's run through a few stats. In April, I read 11 books and I read 4,924 pages. In comparison to January, I also read 11 books, but I read 5,027 pages, so it really wasn't a huge difference between the two. I listened to 12.5 hours of audiobooks. Actually read a lot more ebooks, which I've been trying honestly to gravitate more toward ebooks and physical books. I'm finding that I don't know what it is, but recently I have not been taking in audiobooks quite as well as physical and ebooks. They just seem to be going in one ear and out the other, and I find that I'm not enjoying them as much as I used to. So it's not that I'm not reading audiobooks, I'm just trying to pick up the physical books when I can. So I am happy that I read 2 physical books, 5 ebooks, 1 that was a mixture, and then 3 audiobooks this month. I read 2 debut authors, 7 new to me authors, and then 2 authors that I had read from before. And most of this month was fantasy or romantasy. Those were the only 2 genres that I read this month. I'm unsurprised that most of my books were indie books because this was me finishing up SFBBO this month, so we will go through those books here very shortly. And I was able to read 1 diverse book and 2 LGBTQ+ books. I read 3 standalone books, 8 that were part of a series, and I think that those are most of the fun stats. I did not DNF any books this month, so that was also a lot of fun. I didn't have any 5-star books, but I also didn't have any 1-star books either, so we'll take it where it comes. Okay, let's very quickly run through my SFBBO books. I do have a vlog where I go through all of my thoughts on this, and we have finished off SFBBO 9. There is a wrap-up of all of Mel's takeover thoughts. Again, I will link both of these videos down in the description in case you guys want to check it out. There actually will be a video coming very soon on my batch of SFBBO 10 books, so let's quickly talk about the last 5 that I read. Last Fang of God by Ryan Kirk. This was a father-daughter fantasy where we had gods that basically controlled different realms, and the dad was a part of the last of the Wolvern clan, and there were runes that were part of the main magic. One of the gods had decided that he was going to take back his daughter, and if he didn't basically take her back to this god, she was going to end up dying. But in the midst of all of this, there is a clan that is after him and trying to kill him, and they are on the run. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. It was a standalone, it was quite short, and I mostly just found that the writing was not my absolute favorite. I had a hard time believing the relationship between dad and daughter. There were many moments where I felt like I was kind of getting whiplash, but I did find the magic system to be really interesting in this, and overall I just wish that it had been a lot longer. Fantasy to me that is a standalone and 200 and something pages does a lot of times have a hard time accomplishing what I need it to accomplish, and that was definitely the case for this one for me. And this one ended up getting a low 3-star from me. Then we also had The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan, which was mostly just a case of this is not the book for me. This one was following an autistic main character, and he was one of 4 or 5 siblings. Their father has died, and they are all kind of trying to figure out who is going to get the throne. If you really, really like the main character, then I think that this book will work well for you. It is a character-driven story. It is not a plot-driven story. It's not a magic-driven story. It has these injections that bodily enhance them, but that's about all that there is to the magic system. They are definitely very strong in the type of character that they are, but they are definitely a very chaotic character. They are kind of all over the place, but that is an intentional thing, and if you relate to this character, I think it will work for you, but I personally did not, and I found it kind of hard to follow because it just seemed a little all over the place for me. So this one did not work for me, and it ended up getting a 2-star. Then we had Master of the Void, which was my personal favorite from Mel's Takeover or SFBBO 9. This is a coming-of-age epic fantasy story following several different young characters. We're mostly following Darius, who has always wanted to get to his name day so that he can test and see what kind of magic he has. He saves his father, and everyone assumes he has magic, but when he goes to test, his orb turns black, and he is told that he doesn't have magic or that the testing failed, and he's gonna have to try again later. Come to find out, there's a whole lot more to it than that, and I don't really want to spoil the story from here. And then we have Ormond, who is told that he has no magic, and he is the son of one of the archmages, so his dad cast him away. He doesn't want anything to do with him, and he sets off on a journey from there. Definitely a coming-of-age young adult story, but I found it to be really entertaining. This did win Mel's Takeover, spoiler, and I'm excited to see where book 2 goes. I do have it on good authority from Wind Raven that book 2 is in the works. This got a lower 4-star from me. Then we had Wickwire Watch by Jacqueline Hagan. This was the runner-up to Mel's Takeover, and it's kind of a steampunk feeling fantasy that is following a young boy who finds a pocket watch that opens his mind into another world. And this one, it definitely had a Neil Gaiman feel to me. Definitely had like his kind of writing style and quirkiness and like whimsical type world building while also not being too whimsical. I will say that this one didn't strongly stick with me, but I did enjoy it while I was reading it, and I would recommend at least giving it a try, especially if you like Neil Gaiman's writing style. This one got a lower 4-star from me as well. And then last but not least, we had Hills of Heather and Bone by K.E. Andrews. This one is a slightly slice of life story. We actually have bone magic in this, which I found to be really interesting, and I really liked the bone magic aspect of this story. It's set in a world where people are scared of bone magic, and you're not really supposed to have it. If you are captured and taken away. And we have a couple that is just kind of living their life in quiet when they find out that she does have bone magic, and they run away and try to figure out how to live their life on the run. She ends up pregnant, and they're trying to just navigate the life on the run. It unfortunately just was a little bit too slice of life for me. I really liked the beginning part of the story, really fell off in the middle, and liked the end. So the beginning and the end were really good for me, but the middle just didn't really work. So this one ended up getting a pretty low 3-star from me, but I think that the writing was really well done, and I can see where people can really appreciate this. It just wasn't a Mel kind of book. Okay, moving out of the SFBBO books, we have Promise of Peridot by Kate Golden, but I actually think that I enjoyed the sequel a little bit more, just because I knew going into it that this was just a fun popcorn read fantasy that I was going to have a good time with. A Dawn of Onyx is about Auron, and she is caring for her ailing mother. She does have healing magic, and her brother was sent away to be a part of the military. They assume that he is dead when one day he shows up on their front door, and he is being followed by members of the Onyx military and tells them that they have got to get out. So they all go on the run, but Auron is taken by the Onyx military, and she is taken to the Onyx King, who is known to be deadly and terrifying. It is a fantasy romance. You can assume some things from there, but it's got a one dragon trope. It has a really cool magic system. There are realms that are named obviously after gems, and I just think this story is a lot of fun. There are fae in this book, and I like where it is going. I do have A Reign of Rose, which is the third and final book in this series. I have an arc of it. It doesn't come out until October, and I'm really trying to just not binge it early. I want to wait till a little bit closer to release date, but there's a very strong possibility that I will not be able to wait, and I will be reading it early because I'm just so excited to finish off this series. It also has a Chosen One trope. I don't think I mentioned that, but it also has the Chosen One trope. Then we have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I had been told so many times to read this. I read this for my Knock Down the TBR vlog, where you guys left comments on my unread TBR video and chose for me what books you thought I should read. This one was by far the most recommended to me, so it's definitely one of the ones that I wanted to pick up. This has like tarot card magic essentially, and each card is able to do certain things. The magic system in this is a little convoluted. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I fully understood the magic system, but there are basically tarot cards, and they each have different abilities, but you're not really allowed to have magic, and there was an illness that swept the lands, and if you survived the illness, you got magic, but there were physicians that came to kill the children that had the illness. But Elspeth, our main character, actually did manage to escape the physicians and survive the illness, so when she touched one of these cards, she ended up with a nightmare in her head. I love the nightmare in the head trope, and I think that that was one of the things that really worked for me in this book, one of the few things that really worked for me in this book. I liked the magic system. I thought that it was really unique, but this is definitely more of an atmosphere first kind of story, so I found that I was overall a little bit more on the bored side. I ended up giving it a 3-star. I was very curious about the way that it ended and how the next book is going to be set up, so I do think that I will continue on into the second book in the series, but I do think, like I said, this is an atmosphere first story, so if you like a really gothic atmosphere, you want a little bit of romantasy, and you don't mind it being a, not insta-love, but a quick development, then I would definitely give this a try. I think I am in the minority of people that didn't just absolutely fall head over heels for this story, and I would definitely recommend it to other people, but it just wasn't a home run for me. Then we have The Darkness Before Them by Matthew Ward. I have this book somewhere, but I think it has already gone in the unhaul closet because it just sadly was not a win for me. I ended up giving this one a 2-star just because of the massive miss in potential. This is a heist type story. It starts with a heist, and we have a really cool magic system with like these demons that you can control, and I don't really know fully how to whoops, my book fell. I don't know fully how to describe this story, but yeah, I got really bored and zoned out for a decent bit of it because we would just travel and go off on tangents and do nothing for pages and pages and pages and pages. And then we would have a heist thing that was really, really cool, and I would get super interested again, and then we would do nothing for pages and pages and pages and pages again, and it just did not work for me. I also struggled a lot because I reread the beginning of this book 3 times. I am a fantasy reader. I read a lot of fantasy. I don't typically have trouble understanding worlds and magic systems and things like that, but I was having a really hard time wrapping my head around this one, especially on audio, because Matthew Ward does not give you any context for any of the terminology that he's using. He's just throwing all of these terms in there, and you have an index, but it's in the back of the book. So if you're trying to listen to this on audio, he's not giving you any context clues for what these words mean, and you can't flip to the back of the book to look at the index. You don't know what's going on. And so I didn't really love that. I felt like it was a little too wordy, and unfortunately this book did not work for me. Then we have Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I think I ended up giving this one a 3-star. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I had some issues with the logic in this one. There are several things that DM did in this that I was like, that makes no sense. And several like plot holes in this that I didn't really love, but I will say that this is a very bingeable read. I flew through this story, and by the end of the book, I did really enjoy it. This is following DM, who is a mere mortal. She is a healer, and we also have the Descended, who are like demigods essentially, and they rule over the lands. They're kind of oppressive of the humans. There is a revolution type plot to this story, and you guys know that I love a revolution, but I think that the thing that I didn't like about this is it is a romantasy, but the love interest was on page for maybe 10% of this, and on page with her for even less, and I needed them to have a little bit of interaction with one another. I was told that this was a slow burn, which I'm totally fine with, but I still expected them to have some interaction, but then I also didn't really find it to be a slow burn because when they were interacting, it felt very hot and heavy and 100%, so I don't really know exactly how to describe this book other than it wasn't fully what I expected, but yet I still had a pretty good time with it. So it came out to a 3-star. The ending was fun. I have actually started the second book in the series as of filming this video, and I'm having a good time with it. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. These are fun. I'm excited to continue, but it was a 3-star from me. Then we have Flame and Sparrow by S.M. Gaither. I met S.M. Gaither at a Polycon, and she is very, very sweet. I had a lot of fun with this book. I will say the beginning was a little bit rough for me. We had a lot of over-explaining the world where you were telling me over and over and over again the same thing, and I was like, yeah, I get it. You don't have to tell me that 50,000 times. But all in all, by the time we got to the meat of the story and met the fire god, the love interest, I was having a great time with their banter. This is following Karis, and she is an elf, and the elves were essentially like the right hand of the gods, but then they were demoted for trying to have like too much ambition and basically stripped of all of their power, and most of them were killed. And then there were these like Moors, which were basically ascended up to become the demigods, and then the humans were created as well to basically worship them. And Karis and the elves are trying to destroy the demigods, essentially the Moors, in order to get the elves back into power. And there was just great banter in this. It's enemies to lovers. There's a few trials, which you guys know that I do enjoy a good trial. The banter, like I said, I think I've already said a million times, was great. I had a lot of fun with this. There's an animal companion that was really interesting, and I'm so excited for the second book, Ash and Feather, I believe, to come out in July. This This one was a 4-star, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. And then last but not least, we have The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee, which got a 4.5 star. This was so much fun, you guys. It's following Daddy Dacker and Naira. Naira is the forgotten princess. She has been locked away because she doesn't have any magic, and so the king does not want anyone to know that she exists. She escapes the palace and gets taken by the rebels. Dacker is the son of the rebel leader, and he does not trust Naira. He thinks that she is just a traitor that is trying to escape the palace, and she does not want him to know who she is. He decides that he is going to train her to make her useful in the rebellion, and you can only imagine how that goes. This book was so much fun. There's great banter in this. It is enemies to lovers, to slightly reluctant allies, to training scenes. It's just fun, and Holly Renee knows how to write a good sex scene, let me tell you that. It is slow burn in that the sex scenes don't really come into play until around 60%, but I do think that there's some really great tension in this. It was so much fun. I was not expecting to like this as much as I did, but would highly, highly, highly recommend it. The second book comes out in June, I believe, and I am going to eat that up. I cannot wait to read it. Highly recommend this. Oh, so good. So good. I met her at a Polycon and was able to get the very shiny, like, hardcover of this, and I cannot wait to pick up book 2 and to read more from Holly Renee in the future. Okay, guys, so that's everything. Let me know down in the comments below what your favorite read of April was. I want to know, and leave me a fire emoji for Flame and Sparrow. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are all in the description box below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!